I don't see records as personal accomplishments, but more as human achievements. If one person can do something that's never been done, that means we all have a shot at doing it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that, and I'm saying this. Welcome to High and Low. Good day and good night. Welcome to the High and Low Basketball Podcast. This is episode number 100 and Siakam, aka episode number 143. 43, of course, is the jersey number currently worn by the 30th best player in the NBA, Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors, aka the Spin Doctor or Spin Master. I don't know. I can't keep up with his monikers. We're days removed from a wild trade deadline that had many people speculating and thinking that Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster might blow it all up, but nothing happened. So I'm pretty sure Pascal is somewhere right now, breathing a long sigh of relief. Only for now. Just for now, Pascal. Just relax for now, because come summer, get stressed again. Anyway, my name is Ike Amaechi, and I'm joined by Stephen, Leslie. And around here, we live by a principle governed by the high and low lives of the world, which means we talk about basketball, especially and specifically the NBA, and we talk about it at any time, anywhere, north, south, east, west, high and low. This week on the show, we're talking about LeBron James, the man who has scored the most points in NBA history. We're also talking about the new landscape that is the NBA after the dust has settled from last week's trade deadline chaos and madness. How much does a Kevin Durant-led Phoenix squad change the playoff picture? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Stay tuned for all of that. Before we lock in, let's check in. Steven is back with us, back at the table, itching to share his opinions. I know you want to cause some chaos here, slander some things.
A little bit.
A little bit. You sounded itchy in the chat. I was like, okay. And Mitch was supposed to be here. That was supposed to be fun for you to just slander his team in his presence. But there was a last minute change in his schedule. So hopefully he'll join us next week. Hopefully I can decongest, man. I'm just getting over this cold. So pardon my congested tone. Anyway, Stephen, I appreciate your time this week. Thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for joining us for yet another installment of the program. Another week, another episode, more NBA. So, of course, more high and low. This week in NBA history, more history was made. On February 14th, 2009, then Commissioner David Stern announced that the NBA Finals MVP trophy would officially be named the Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP Award. That's a mouthful. Of course, in honor of the 11-time champion and Celtic legend, Bill Russell. We know he passed away earlier this year, and he's been honored around the league as you see the number 6 patched onto every NBA jersey. So it's easy to think of Bill Russell as an all-time great because of his contributions on the court, but Bill Russell was just as impactful off the court. It's only fitting to think of his civil rights activism during this month in which we celebrate Black history and Black excellence. Some people scoff at the Celtics and its history, especially if you're a Laker fan, indeed. But Bill Russell, the ultimate Celtic, stood for more than the color of his jersey. He stood for the color of his skin. He organized the first player-led boycott back in October of 1961 after 2 of his teammates were denied service at a cafe in Lexington, Kentucky because they were Black. Knowing Bill Russell's influence and conviction, the 2 teammates, Sam Jones and Tom Sanders, they shared the ordeal with Bill Russell and Casey Jones. And upon hearing that story, Bill Russell, of course, took immediate action, conferred with his head coach, Red Auerbach, didn't ask for permission, just conferred. And he implemented a boycott of the preseason game against the St. Louis Hawks in Lexington. And they immediately flew back to Boston. Game was canceled. That was Bill Russell. Same man who marched on Washington in 1963 the same man who was in attendance when Martin Luther King Jr. gave his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. In fact, Martin Luther King apparently asked Bill Russell to stand up on stage with him. Of course, Bill Russell was smart enough to say, "Hey, it's all you. That's your time." This is the same man who joined hands with Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and several other prominent black athletes in 1967 to support Muhammad Ali's decision not to serve in the Vietnam War. That Bill Russell. So for many, the NBA Finals MVP award, the Bill Russell Award, is the most coveted in basketball. So it's only fitting that it bears the name of the man who sits atop all legends for what he did for the sport and his community. Anyway, that's a little something for the NBA history nerds. Things are certainly happening in the NBA today. They definitely are. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about something important.
Before we get into the meat of the episode, I have a listener question from Cam in Henderson, Nevada. Shout out to you, Cam, longtime listener. Cam's question is this. Well, he starts with a statement. Congrats to LBJ on passing Kareem. What's his greatest strength been in his career, and what's his greatest weakness? It's a good question. What do you think, Stephen?
So I was thinking about this, and I wanted to say passing so bad, but then I think the obvious answer, if we look at his career, is scoring. Like, he's the number one scorer in NBA history, and like let that sink in. So like, no matter what situation he's been in the past or in the present, he can put the hoop in the bucket. And this record that he broke will never be, I'm saying it'll never be broken again, because no one's going to play as long as they played at his level.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
That's good. That's what they said about Kareem.
Yeah, but with health, LeBron has been super, super, super lucky with health. I just don't see that happening. Even like going back, so I started to think about some of the scoring outputs he's had, and I remember when he scored the entire points for the fourth in overtime against the Detroit Pistons. There's another game with a headband game versus Celtics in the playoffs where he couldn't miss. And then as of recently, like him eclipsing Kareem, it's just, I think that's what I remember. Like, I can remember LeBron blocking someone or passing, but I think we're going to have to remember him as a scorer because he's number one. And that's something that no one can take away from him. Like, you can say, oh, he went to the finals this and lost, but you can't take this away from the guy when it's all done. Every game since last week means it's a record-breaking game going forward. Take that in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what? And this guy's saying he has 2-3 more years left. I'm like, so what? Every game going forward, they're just updating the history books. Like,
yeah, he's gonna hit 40,000.
Oh my god, it's insane.
Yeah, and I've joked about this in the past. Well, I don't know if it was a joke, but it's more about just what analytics nerds have put together. But they stated that if Michael Jordan hadn't retired, I forget which, I think if he hadn't retired in 93 or 94, he'd be at 41,000. I think LeBron could even eclipse that.
But that's if.
I don't think that would have been safe.
See, but that's an if. Like, there's no if. This is real.
This is real, yeah. LeBron's scoring, definitely one of his greatest strengths. But I would honestly tie it to his intelligence, his ability to analyze a game. I think that might, in my opinion, that's his greatest strength. You know, he has all the physical attributes to dominate. But we've seen this before. Like, we've seen freak athletes in the past. You know, they fall short of expectations or they fizzle out. But LeBron has lived up to his expectations. He comprehends the game on a higher level. Like, he just adapts with his mind, and he uses his physical attributes to kind of carry him to the next level. I think it was Harrison Barnes who was saying that when defending or when putting together a defensive scheme for LeBron, they had to layer the defense. And you couldn't present the same scheme twice because LeBron would figure it out. If you ran the scheme and it worked, and then you ran the scheme again, he's got you. He's figured it out. That's it. And so he's just so smart. Like, he can read the game at such a high level. When you use your physical attributes along with your mind in that way, it's no wonder he reached 38,000. And there's no way that he gets to this point without being that smart on the basketball court. Like he just reads the game. He makes the right plays. He's turned into one of the smartest scorers in NBA history. I think that's it for me. I think he's the smartest scorer in NBA history. He's not the prettiest scorer, not the prettiest, but one of the most effective, if not the most effective in NBA history. What's his weakness for you?
To me, LeBron's just not mean enough.
The killer instinct?
Yeah. Like, Jordan, Kobe had that mean mentality in them. And I like Hedo LeBron because sometimes he was cocky. But I would have liked him to be like, listen, like, you're not as good as me, night in and night out. And like, I'm going to crush you guys. And I mean this towards like his all pro peers. Like, you need to make these guys fear you. And I didn't think they feared you throughout his career. That's why guys were all like, oh, let's build a team to beat LeBron, or, I don't want to join him. No. You need to make them fear you, where no matter what team they build, they know they can't compete against you, and guys want to always play with you. But he's too humble, and it's good on him, I guess, because his fans like that, and that makes him, right?
Yeah, that's funny, man, because I always thought that it was his ego that was his weakness, but I guess there's a difference.
But he's the king. He tattooed that thing on his back.
That's what I'm saying from the very beginning, man. Like his head exploded just from being so inflated. I don't know. I don't know. LeBron's been under the impression that he's bigger than the game, at least for most of his career, at least maybe for the latter half of his career, and rightfully so.
Well, if ESPN's following you at your high school in Kent, in Akron, Ohio,
yeah,
you might think so too.
Yeah, I guess media created this monster, this ego. But honestly, think about it like this: I think LeBron's ego's killed some opportunities to really win and win big. He left Cleveland after Boston trounced his team. He leaves Miami after that complete meltdown in the finals versus the Spurs. And in my mind, I think that's probably one of the major reasons why a lot of people put him at number 2 behind Jordan, because Jordan never melted down like that. He left Cleveland again. There's so many starts and stops that have basically erased the continuity and the type of continuity that, for example, brought the Warriors dynasty or the Spurs dynasty to fruition. If LeBron had stuck with it at least one of those spots earlier in his career, he might have had an opportunity to actually build something that would last a very long time. Like, he basically has been his own dynasty, going to 9 straight finals. If he was able to build or have an opportunity to just had enough time to really build a team around him, like Jordan had Pippen for almost his entire career, and Horace Grant for half of that time, like in Steve Kerr, like he just had time to win with these guys. And I think the closest he got to that was really with Miami. He just thinks he's bigger than the game, and when he's done with the place, he's done. He just moves on.
All right, you guys, what's next?
The 2 biggest deals before the trade deadline involved the Brooklyn Nets former duo, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, of course. So how will these moves affect the Western Conference playoff picture? And how will it affect the East? What do you think?
I think it affected the West same day. Because it started an arms race. And it's funny, I saw a tweet from Lou Will that day, and he said, I guess no one liked their teams. And I'm like, it's true. Because for the amount of teams that just flipped, it's like, why did you guys have the team you had for the first half of the regular season? Because you didn't like it. Yeah, everyone flipped left, right, and center, right? Playoff wise, I know we're still waiting for KD to come back after the All-Star break. Before the KD trade, people were saying, all right, Mavs went to the Western Conference Finals, and, Kyrie helps them out more. And I was like, okay, that's a good addition. I don't see how they're gonna stop Denver if they matched up and face each other because of big wise. And then now that KD was able to be traded to Suns and they kept Ayton, I'm like, yeah, if Mavs play Suns, it's over. Suns are gonna advance, and Chris Paul doesn't have to be anything except for a point guard who just passes the ball now. So
He's a shell.
yeah, like this is it's a travesty of what happened. And they're gonna go far into the playoffs. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because there's all these buyouts that are still gonna happen, and I don't know who's gonna want to go where and who's gonna try to team up. They are lacking some size, I think. After Ayton, I don't really see that they have size. Man, it's so hard to predict. Like but it's good. It's giving me energy to be like, you know what? I'm gonna watch most of these Western Conference games in the second half.
Yeah.
East wise, oh my gosh, the East got worse. It got garbage. Yes, I know it. Before I said Giannis and the Bucks were gonna go to the finals, I still think that. I know Boston. Okay, Boston's there. They got a little bit of help, but without KD and Kyrie in that on the East, it's like they just made it easier for those teams. If whoever can stay healthy over there, they're gonna advance. The East playoffs is terrible. It's just those two teams. I'm sorry, 76ers, but it's just those two teams. The West, man, the West causes headaches. I feel like the West has always been this way, though.
I think like we had a couple of years where the East looked very strong.
But it's fool's gold. Because in those years, I don't remember those years, but in those years, did the Western team not win the championship?
The only team in the West that was winning championships at that time was probably the Lakers. But it was Detroit, it was Boston, it was Chicago. Then Houston came in and snuck a couple in.
Oh, we're talking about back. Okay.
But way back, way back.
Yeah.
East, like the Knicks, the Pacers, those were the best teams in the league. Going that far back. But recently, I don't know. I maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe 3. I don't know. No, actually, no.
I don't know, man. The West is always, it seems like there's bullies. Everyone wants to go and bully each other and beat each other up like Armageddon, and then whoever's left can go and face whoever's in the East. Oh man, like you had Ja with his comments, and then what is he gonna do now? Because he said the West was hard. It was already hard, anyways. Because as of this podcast, they're 15-16 against the West. Yes, I've been keeping account on that.
Grizz watch.
So I don't know what's gonna happen now. Like they're just here to bully you, beat you up, and beat each other up. And I don't know why they don't move that to the East.
The teams coming out of the West are battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And by the time they play any Eastern Conference team, it feels like they're just play fighting with a little brother, you know? It's like a slap boxing match as opposed to like some Muay Thai that's going on over in the West. To me, Dallas got better.
Dallas, to me, just got involved in something that they had no business getting involved in. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we got Kyrie. And then big boy Suns are like, well, we kept our team and got Kevin Durant. So it's like, whatever you did, it didn't matter.
Did they keep their team? Because I got to say, man, Phoenix, I'm still scratching my head on this one. Mind you, okay, yes. The Suns are definitely positioned to contend. But, I mean, they also have to contend with losing two key pieces, man. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. Mikal Bridges is arguably their best defender, or he was. Cam Johnson, this situation is a bit hilarious because Monty Williams wanted Cam Johnson, or he wanted to give Cam Johnson more minutes this season, which is why Jay Crowder basically boycotted, speaking of boycotting, boycotted the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
You know, this is contract year for Jay Crowder. So it's like he's got to audition for his next contract. But you're gonna cut his minutes for this guy? And now they're both gone. Jay Crowder gets traded to the Bucks. You know, so it doesn't really make any sense. And I think, Bridges, that's a huge loss. That's a huge loss. He's not, he's not defensive player of the year or anything like that, but he's one of the best defenders in the NBA right now. But I don't know.
But you gain more in KD than what you lose.
That's it. That's exactly it. They have two premier perimeter players that can go get buckets whenever they need to. Basically, they're just gonna have to outscore everyone.
Thank you.
That's what they're gonna do, and that's essentially what the Mavs are gonna have to do themselves, but just to a much lesser degree.
Yeah.
So, but all this, none of it matters because I think Denver beats both in the 7-game series.
I don't think so, but you wait. Make Lakers get the play in or creep up even higher than that. And it's the Los Angeles Lakers switched their entire team for the better. This reminds me of when LeBron had the D-Wade Cavs and said, yeah, All-Star break, by switching the entire team. And you know what that team did? They went to the finals.
Did you hear that?
You're comparing that Cavs team to this Lakers team?
Yeah.
just wanted to confirm. Just wanted to confirm that that's what you were doing right this.
I'm hyped. I'm excited. Anticipating and just waiting. I want to see what happens.
But how have they improved?
How have we improved?
The Lakers.
Okay, so
Mo Bamba?
No, listen. Whoa, why you asked how? Let me explain how. This guy said Mo Bamba. Honestly, I'm disappointed that Mo Bamba is here and Bryant, what's his name? Thomas Bryant, that he's out. Yeah. But apparently he asked for a trade because AD was eating his minutes. I'm like, what? What? Like, this guy has some balls, and I'm like, what?
That's toxic.
Yeah, that's just something's going on. I was like, damn. But yeah. So look, we got D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley. Earlier on, we got the Hachimura guy who's decent. So and we also got Vanderbilt. I like it because we got rid of Russ, who was causing dark clouds in the locker room, and Pat Bev just talks too much, and his game isn't. Yeah, he fooled me, when he came to Lakers, and then they had that little party, and I was like, oh gosh, look at me getting fooled again.
But listen, Pat Bev does this all the time.
I know.
Remember when they picked up Kawhi when he was a Clipper?
Yeah.
They picked up Kawhi, and he was there.
Him and Lou
celebrating with Lou Williams.
The casino. Remember that video?
Oh yeah, he talks too much, man.
But I'll stay low key. I won't brag about my Lakers because I don't think you guys like to hear that. But there's a switch that's going to be turned on, and it has to be immediately. I just think the team got better. A lot of people, they're going to wait and see, but I believe in the Lakers. So,
a sneaky team that got better. I mean, it's not like a secret or anything like that, but the Milwaukee Bucks, man, that sneaky move of getting Jay Crowder. They just snuck that in there.
It's a PJ Tucker type move. That's their guy.
I was just about to say that, man. He brings that same PJ Tucker energy. That's what they've been missing, man.
Yeah.
I think that's going to make a huge difference for this team. He's a plus defender. He can hit the corner three. You could probably bring him off the bench, play with the second unit. And, I mean, the guy only cost Milwaukee 5 second-rounders.
They don't even – listen, there are two things I'm going to say. First of all, this whole second-rounder business was terrible. I'm trading you for 4 second-rounders. I'm trading you for 5 second. I'm like, all right, this is just nonsense.
Who dropped the tweet about how – there are trades happening right now that are affecting a ninth grader?
Yeah, me. I forgot I sent it, but I saw that and I was like, yep, here we go. More ninth graders are being traded.
Amazing.
But the second thing I want to say is Milwaukee didn't need that like how other teams needed that.
No.
Like, their team is so good that Middleton's been gone most of the year and they're still near the top. And Middleton came back. And it's like they didn't skip a beat. I'm like, man. And Giannis just is angry all the time.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying with LeBron earlier, that he doesn't have that, Giannis is just,
He just wants to destroy you.
Yeah, like, just, yeah.
Hey, I like that move from Milwaukee. I think that if there was any sort of gap between Milwaukee and Boston, I think that gap has narrowed, if not closed completely. But hey, that's the East. There's only 2 teams. There are only 2 teams that matter in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, gosh. doesn't matter in the East. The Raptors don't matter in the East.
Oh, well, hey, speaking of that, who's worse today than they were last week?
Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh,
I don't know what direction they're going in. I'm confused because LeBron went to LA, Kawhi, Paul George went to Clippers, and then you had the whole Nets stuff with the Irving, KD, and Harden. Nets knew listen, we're getting rid of everyone because it wasn't working out.
yeah.
Lakers at least won a bubble championship ring, so they're still struggling to do whatever. The Clippers, you haven't won anything, and I don't think you're going to win this year. This was the trade deadline to sell everything. You have a new stadium that's being built. Start fresh. Get all the picks you can. Get rid of Kawhi and Paul George. Instead, you got rid of John Wall. I don't know why you guys got him in the first place. Kennard, and then Reggie Jackson. And you're bringing in Eric Gordon and Plumlee. I'm like, yo, what? So what's your point guard situation like? Terrence Mann? Like, you're holding on, and I don't know why. It's not cool to say you have PG and Kawhi in 2024. Those names next year are going to be like, ugh. And I think they just went backwards, didn't go forward. I don't know who their GM is. I think there was a mistake made. And honestly, I think for what they're going to be paying their guys, I think they made the biggest mistake and they've regressed. And this is not hate. This is just like, what? And yeah, buyout market, you might get Westbrook. Okay, so what? Like, what's your goal? You guys are not in the right direction? Oh, is it old man Jerry West? He's still over there?
No. Well, I think he's on as an advisor, but it's Lawrence Frank.
Jeez,
Lawrence Frank is there.
Bro, I don't know.
GM.
Damn Clippers, bro.
I'm confused by what the Clippers have done and what they continue to do. You know, we'll see how this all pans out. But I agree with you. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, the value in that duo today or even next year, it's not the same as it was, say, 2-3 years ago. You know.
All right, you guys, what's next?
Speaking of Kawhi, the Raptors are blowing it all up. They're going to blow it up. All eyes have been on Toronto for weeks. They were thinking that the Raptors were going to make a big deal. OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr. We joked around about Pascal Siakam needed to be traded. Those are the names that were swirling around in trade rumors minus Pascal. I don't know. All that bluster's kind of turned into a whimper, or it did last week when they picked up Pirtle.
Who the hell is that?
Came over from the Spurs to do a second tour in Toronto.
What'd they give up for that guy? Not no 4 second rounders. They gave up a first. I think there's only 2 teams. I might be wrong, but I think there's only 2 teams during this entire trade deadline that gave up firsts. One was obviously the Suns, and the second was the Raptors.
That's embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. That's...
I know there was chatter about Pirtle, and, you know, I guess some teams were interested in Pirtle, but he's not worth a first rounder. Anyway, I think besides trying to do some damage control, because he was asked about all of this, and that's the thing, he went on record to say, and I quote, "The opportunity was not there for us for a blockbuster trade." The opportunity was not there for us for a blockbuster trade. Listen to those words. So apologies to Mitch. The Raptors, as currently constructed, are not long for this world. When the president of your team says they were looking for a blockbuster trade, that means that they were trying to move. They were trying to move bulk product. And if it didn't happen last week, well, it's most likely going to happen in the summer. And honestly, it's the right decision. I won't say they're the worst team. They're not worse than before on the court, but morale has to be at an all-time low. And if your morale is bad, you might as well just take a shot at Wemby. Actually, it's too late for that.
Too late for that. Maybe it was long distance. That's why people couldn't call. Maybe that's the reason. I was told that the Raptors team wasn't that bad, so why would you need to make a trade?
Mid-team?
Mid. I think they're terrible.
Who are you talking to right now?
Oh, shout out to James Wiseman. You should have never been picked before LaMelo Ball, and ruined my prediction for Golden State Warriors dynasty to be extended. Bye.
That's a disappointment. Imagine LaMelo on the Warriors all this time,
bro. It would have been LaMelo and Poole. It would have been some nastiness.
We can't really call them the Splash Brothers because I don't know. LaMelo's not the best shooter in the world, but
it's something about Golden State. He'd get better. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
he'd be launching.
Yeah. Oof. LaMelo and Jordan Poole. That's actually quite scary. That's scary, man. Just a quick reminder to High and Low Lives, if you want to leave a question for us to answer on the show, drop that DM. We're on TikTok at More High and Low. We're on Instagram at Get High and Low. I'll leave those links in the show notes. Feels like a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, we're circling back to LeBron. We haven't forgotten about you, LeBron. We'll be right back with More High and Low. This moment is brought to you by High and Low listeners and sponsored by John Wall's Feelings of Regret. This week, we asked you to share your 5 best, most gifted scorers of all time. Cam in Henderson, Nevada, shared his list from 5 to 1, starting with LeBron at 5, KD, Kevin Durant at 4, Kobe Bryant at 3, Michael Jordan at number 2, and Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain at number 1. We also heard from Shango in Shreveport, Louisiana. He has KD at 5. He's got Kobe at 4, Kareem at 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain at 2, and Michael Jordan, his airness, at 1. Cam and Shango, thank you. I appreciate your list this week. Keep them coming. Now let's get back to the conversation. And we are back. I'm Ike Amaechi, and I'm here with Stephen Leslie. One of one, Stephen Leslie. The NBA machine is unlike any other. Where else could you have a night where one of the game's greatest surpasses the game's greatest record, and then it ends up, or he sets the game's greatest record, and then it ends up at the bottom of the media cycle 2 days later behind a whirlwind of trades and rumors. Like everyone forgot about it. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that here. We're not forgetting about LBJ. We're going to circle back to LeBron in the form of an interesting question that Stephen Leslie posted a chat last week, and I thought I'd just bring it to the show. So your question was this. So how would you rank the following 3 players based on their best decade of basketball? Okay. So how would you rank the following 3 players based on their best decade of basketball? And you had LeBron James from 2010 to 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong though here. Kobe from 2000 to 2010, and Steph Curry from 2012 to 2022, I believe. This is a great question, by the way.
2013 maybe. Yeah, 2013 to 2023 for Curry.
Okay. 2013 to 2023.
Yeah.
So how would you rank them?
So I had to make a little tally chart to see, because they're all really good and great players. So I started off obviously rings. That's the highest that they can get. Kobe has 5. The other 2 both got 4. Finals losses, Curry and Kobe have 2. LeBron has 6. So he loses points there. All-time moments, Kobe's 81 and his last game was 60 points. But Curry has the NBA all-time leader in threes, and LeBron is the all-time leader in points. So Kobe loses out there. Social media impact, or just social impact in general. At the time, in that decade period, Kobe had Asia on lock. He couldn't go anywhere there. It was a wrap. All they knew was Kobe. LeBron, he does a lot for low-income communities and families, building schools, outreach programs, while Curry, he doesn't want the middle class living beside him.
Stop. This guy.
Entertainment value and disrespect. I remember there was a game where, Kobe cooked the Houston Rockets on prime time after Shane Battier had like a 30-page book on how to stop him. Steph Curry, he used to drop CP3 every chance he got, hit threes. And LeBron, during that time, there's that finals where, when he came to the Heat, they had that whole theatrical thing, I'll win 6, 7, 8, 9 championships in a row. But then in the finals, after he lost, he went on his post-game interview and basically called everyone poor and said that they're all going to have the same personal problems tomorrow. So I think they get the nod there as well. Shoe game, Kobe over LeBron and Curry. Off-court issues, Curry and LeBron, I don't think they have any. Kobe had one. And then the last category is GOAT conversation. And I know going back and forth, I've had that conversation with Kobe. I've heard it about LeBron. I don't think I've heard it with Curry. So with all that said, I got Curry at 3. 1 and 2, I got Kobe and LeBron. They're tied. I can't break it.
Kobe and LeBron are tied?
Yeah, I could
After
not.
all of
After
that.
all of that, I could
you
not.
Went and tied.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There's so many faults on both sides. And just in that decade, because LeBron's played 2 decades. So just that decade right there, I'm like, it's just as good as Kobe's decade. And their decades are better than Curry's decade. So Curry holds 3. Those guys are 1 and 2.
I can't go in you've gone into depths with this that I can't follow, but I think is amazing analysis, which is based on your analysis. Just listening to your analysis, I would rank Steph Curry as number 3, Kobe number 2,
damn,
and LeBron number 1.
In that decade, LeBron won.
I think this guy 9 finals appearances.
I didn't bring that up
8
because
straight.
Because that's an L. Because he lost a bunch of them.
That's dominance, even if it's just in one conference. I mean, he got 4 titles. That's the same as that's the same as Curry, and 4 Finals MVPs.
Wait.
That time.
You just reminded me of something. I got to switch the order up. LeBron is in the East. Kobe 1, Curry 2, LeBron 3.
What did you say?
How did I miss that?
This guy said LeBron 3. You said LeBron 3.
He's in the East. He was bullying the East.
Wow.
That ain't nothing. He was bullying the East. We talked about this earlier. How did I miss that?
Could you compare LeBron to the force of nature that occurs, and then you see all the animals scurrying away, running in the opposite direction? You know what I mean? You ever see those videos where you just see like deer and wolves and all types of animals that should be eating each other, and they're just all running in unison away from something that's much more dangerous than any sort of danger that they can present to themselves? I feel like LeBron was that danger in the East, and everyone's just like, you know what? You got it. You take the East. You got it. We're gonna stay over here in the West.
So we're using analogies. So let me give you one then. LeBron is that Florida F5 hurricane, and the water's out in the ocean. And Kobe is that guy that's surfing right on the edge in the water because he don't care, and he didn't evacuate. He's all up in the East when he gets to the finals, and he won.
Hey, 5 titles, man.
5.
I'm not mad at you putting Kobe at 1. Because, I mean, I think him being a part of a dynasty, that adds a bit more cachet. All right. So your official ranking is Kobe 1, Steph Curry 2, and LeBron 3.
Because he was in the East. He needs to be a bracket with that. All right.
Okay. Okay. Let us know, high and low lives, if you agree. You can even jump into our comments, leave a review where you can actually leave your ranking based on on this analysis and logic that you've heard. But hey,
Why the fuck I can't shoot 3-point shots?
that brings us to the end of this episode of High and Low. So thank you, Steven. Subscribe to High and Low anywhere you find podcasts. Make us a part of your weekly routine. You know where to find us. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, YouTube. Links to those, again, always in the show notes. That's where you can find them. So where can you find, or where can they find you, Steven?
I'm on Instagram at Esteban_Roy, ESTEBAN_ROY. That's it.
And once again, music is by Live of the Enjoy Music Group. You can find Live on Twitter and on Instagram at LYVE. Additional music is, of course, by Sonny Rockwell of the Goodness. You can't find that guy anywhere. Sound design is by Vonn August. This is, of course, a Vonn+Abrahamm podcast, just in case you didn't know. Let me say that again. A Vonn+Abrahamm podcast. I'm just so congested today. Hey, on behalf of Stephen Leslie, I'm Ike Amaechi. Thank you for listening to High and Low, and we'll see you next week.